Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome back to another Premier League prediction video. Now of course, as usual, jumping straight into the predictions, we start off this match week with an absolutely stunning game, Fulham versus Brighton. Now yes, I know it's not one of the biggest games in English football, it's not Man United versus Liverpool, but looking at two teams like this, I think we could definitely look out for an interesting fixture here. I mean, looking at Fulham, obviously although defensively I think they've struggled from time to time, they've had a really good start to the season. I almost feel like they were unlucky to an extent, not to get a point versus Arsenal. I mean, let's be honest, at the end of the day, it was a deflection, and Fulham have had a really good start to the season. I mean, obviously looking at Mitrovic, he'll always be a threat versus a team like Brighton. 4 goals in 4 Premier League games. I mean, it's definitely silenced me a tiny bit, saying that he won't be Premier League worthy in the beginning of the season.
How dare you!
But versus a team like Brighton, I feel like this will be a really good test for him. Obviously, looking at Brighton, they've had a dream start to this new season. I mean, 3 wins, 1 draw, it doesn't get much better than that. I mean, they could have gotten 4 wins, but you know what I mean. Obviously, looking at Brighton, they've also gotten 3 clean sheets in 4 games, which once again will be a really good test for a player like Mitrovic. I think looking at a fixture like this, as I said, I feel like it will be insanely close, and because I feel like it will be insanely close, I mean, I think I might end up going for a draw here. As I said, I really like both teams' chances here. I can't see either of them losing, which I mean, I guess by default means that I feel like it will be a draw at the end of the day, and I do think it will be a very well-deserved draw from both of these two teams. Now, of course, a huge talking point for this game is the fact that Brighton have just sold their star man, Maupay, to Everton for 15 to 20 million pounds. Once again, whether they wanted more pay for more pay, I'm not too sure about that situation.
Stop it. Get some help.
But at the end of the day, as I said, Brighton, a top quality team. They've had a brilliant start to the season, and I do feel like both of these teams will share the points. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into game number 2, being Crystal Palace versus Brentford, let me remind you to put your predictions in the comment section down below. I am recording this video before the end of Matchweek 4, before the Forest Spurs game. So, of course, the person with the most accurate predictions from last week was this person, whoever that was. I don't know. This Matchweek isn't finished yet, so I can't tell. But obviously, congratulations to that person, and if you guys do want to feature in next week's video, make sure to put your predictions down below and the most accurate person will feature in a video. Isn't that exciting? But of course, jumping into this game, we've got Crystal Palace versus Brentford. Now, I do feel like looking at Brentford once again, they are a top quality team, but I do feel like there are quite a few points that I could really pick at where they could improve. As I said, I think they are a top quality team. In their previous game, they did draw to Everton, and I feel like Everton had a lot of chances versus them. They had 6 shots versus Brentford, which yes, although they only ended up scoring 1, to concede 6 shots versus a team that doesn't have a number 9, obviously although now they have Maupay, once again I do feel like they have a few things that they need to work on. Looking at a team like Crystal Palace, although they lost to Manchester City, they look really good at the moment. I mean, on the attacking front, once again, I've said in all of my videos, they've got some real star power. Obviously defensively, they have the urgency, and I feel like Patrick Vieira could get a win here. I mean, they are kind of unlucky to start off their season and have Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool in a row.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
But I do feel like versus a team like Brentford, this is where they will prove a serious point, and I think I'm almost certain that they'll get a win here. Moving on to our next game, we've got Southampton versus Chelsea. Now, obviously, Koulibaly got a red card 2 games ago. Obviously, Gallagher got a red card in the previous game versus Leicester City. It just feels like a gigantic game of guess who will get a red card at the moment. But obviously, saying that, looking at Chelsea, I do feel like they've kind of found their form. Obviously, Raheem Sterling scoring 2 goals in the previous game is absolutely gigantic for Chelsea. For a player like him to gain his confidence, I feel like will be huge for the club. I really do like Southampton, and although they lost 1-0 to Manchester United, I think they had a really stellar performance. Obviously, in the second half, they showed a real kind of show an urgency. They really showed that they could have gotten back in the game, and to an extent, I think they were almost lucky not to get a point for United. Obviously, once again, maybe they should have gotten a penalty considering McTominay played volleyball in the field, but at the end of the day, I do think Chelsea will win this one, and I'm going to put forward a 2-0 win. Once again, just looking at Chelsea in terms of their attacking options, Cucurella and Raheem Sterling, now that those two players are playing together, it's almost like a whole new cheat code has been unlocked. And once again, I think we'll see that versus Southampton. Now moving on to our next game, we have Leeds United versus Everton. Now as I said, looking at Everton, they did get 16 shots versus Brentford, and although they only ended up scoring one of those, I do feel like now that they do have a striker like Maupay, a lot more of those goals will go in. I'm not saying that Maupay is going to be the best striker in the Premier League, he's not going to turn into the Premier League's Kylian Mbappe, but at the end of the day, 8 Premier League goals last season, 8 the season before that, 10 the season before that. He's not a totally awful striker, and he just kind of has to fit into the role all the way until Calvert-Lewin returns. I do feel like maybe he will have that confidence in his first game, and a part of me thinks that Everton could get the points versus Leeds, which I know really weird to say considering Leeds have had a very good start this season, but I just do have a gut feeling that Everton will win this one. As I said, Leeds United have been fantastic on the attacking front this season, but defensively once again a few too many gaps for my liking, and I do feel like Maupay will find those gaps. Moving on to our next game, we have Bournemouth versus Wolves. Now Bournemouth, conceding 9 goals in their previous game. I mean, I don't know what else to say about them past that. Obviously on the attacking front, they really seem to be struggling at the moment. I believe they've only scored in 1 of their 4 games so far, which is, I know, very tricky start to the season with Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool. But at the end of the day, looking at a team like Bournemouth, I feel like their confidence will be seriously knocked at the moment. And versus a team like Wolves, which I'm not going to lie, versus Newcastle United, they had some very impressive moments. It almost reminded me of a former Wolverhampton Wanderers team. Once again, maybe Wolves have found their form, and I feel like this is where they'll pick their first win of the season. Once again, maybe the Wolves will howl, maybe they'll wimp in the corner. We'll have to wait and see. But of course, talking about Wolves and maybe them finding form, we're now going to be talking about a team that has, let's be honest, definitely found their form, as we have Arsenal, the only team to win all 4 of their first Premier League games.
I'm telling you, we're going to win the Champions League! I'm telling you!
Obviously, looking at them, I'm not going to, once again, beat around the bush too much. I do think that they will win, and I think they'll get a pretty comfortable win versus Aston Villa. Although Aston Villa, I would argue, was the better team versus West Ham United for majority of that game, and they were unlucky to concede that goal. At the end of the day, looking at Arsenal, they just look so insanely strong. From attack to defense, I feel like they could have had something really special in this game. I mean, for Gabriel to make such a huge mistake and then end up scoring the game, I mean, his comeback was almost resembling what Rob Holding's hair transplant was. But of course, at the end of the day, as I said, Arsenal, top quality team, and versus a team like Aston Villa, who are seriously struggling at the moment, I can only see it going one way. And of course, talking about one way, heading into our next game, we have Man City versus Forest. Now, once again, looking at Manchester City, heading into the season, so many people are talking about the fact that, oh, Erling Haaland, he won't prove it in the Premier League, he's not Premier League worthy, he won't fit Manchester City's system. Well, here we are, he's played, 3 games, scored 6 goals.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I think he's pretty ready for the Premier League. Once again, Man City, no matter who they end up selling, they just seem to be getting better and better and better. And I could see them getting a very strong result versus Forest. I hate to say it, but Man City, it's just how they are. They are just that good. Once again, I haven't watched Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham Hotspurs yet. That game is only being played, I think, as I record, in fact. But of course, looking at Nottingham Forest, unless they do something absolutely spectacular versus Spurs, like win 3-0, I do think I have to give this one to Man City, because once again, Man City are just doing Man City things this season. Moving on, we have West Ham United versus Tottenham Hotspurs. As I said, looking at Spurs at the moment, I mean, unless they lose horrifically versus Nottingham Forest, I've got all the confidence in the world that they will win this game. Once again, West Ham United not looking incredibly strong at the moment. I mean, they ended up celebrating that deflected goal as if it was a World Cup winner. I get it, West Ham United haven't been scoring as of late, but once again, they do need to pick something up. To not score in your first 3 games and to get a lucky goal in your 4th game, something really has to change, because David Moyes just doesn't seem to be working at the moment. As I said, Spurs, even if you lose to Forest, you've shown and proven enough so far that I do think you'll win. Moving on to our second last game, we have Liverpool versus Newcastle United. Now, once again, Liverpool, you've really redeemed yourself. Not getting a win in your first 3 games to winning 9-0. Once again, you've really proven a point here, and I don't think I'm going to do 9-0 again.
Do it.
but I do think you guys could pick up a 3-1 win or 3-0 win versus Newcastle. Yes, they proved themselves versus Man City, but versus Wolves, they showed that maybe they do still have a few more things to work out. I'm especially excited to see what Alexander Isak can do at the club. In fact, I do think that he could score if he makes his debut here. It all depends as well if Saint-Maximin is fit. He might have injured his leg, or maybe it was just a cramp versus Wolves. Once again, I've recorded this straight after that game, so I guess I'm going to have to keep an eye out on it. But as I said, just looking at that confidence from that 9-0 win, I do think Liverpool will win. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to our final game of Match Week 5, Leicester City versus Man United. Now, once again, I'm going to say this as a United fan. If we dare lose to Leicester City, I think I might abandon the Premier League. I might support a championship team like Watford at this rate. Because looking at Man United, we've been brilliant in our last 2 games. Yes, we kind of switched off and went a bit too defensive for my liking in the second half versus Southampton. But at the end of the day, looking at them defensively, obviously to get a clean sheet in their last game, huge confidence booster, and something seems to be clicking for Erik ten Hag. As I said, looking at Man United, we finally have seemed to found form. It is brilliant to see, and I do feel like once again, United is a team that thrives off of confidence, and now that they've got that confidence, I do feel like they will succeed versus, let's be honest, a very, very sloppy Leicester City team. I mean, no Fofana, no Schmeichel, the goals are just leaking in at the moment. In fact, they're not leaking in. Someone's just turned the tap on full volume, and I do feel like, unfortunately, Leicester City will be in real trouble this season, and I can only see United winning this one. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my Premier League Match Week 5 predictions. Once again, I am trying to make these prediction videos slightly shorter. You guys seem to be preferring them like that, if I'm not mistaken. But of course, guys, let me know in the comment section down below if you disagree with anything that I've said. Leave your predictions down below to feature next week's video. And of course, like, subscribe, all of the good stuff. You know it does help the channel out. And of course, I really, really appreciate it. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and every new subscriber does help across the journey. But guys, this has been fun. FYNN. Until next time, see you next week. Cheers.